At an event recently to promote Castrol Edge with titanium FST and oil developed specifically to work with the highest performing cars on the planet, we were given the opportunity to get up close and personal with the Koenigsegg 121 and to have a chat with its creator, Christian von Koenigsegg himself. We started by asking exactly how the 121 had achieved its obscene power-to-weight ratio of 1,000 horsepower per tonne.
It's basically working on almost all aspects. To save over 100 kilos of weight, we had to really go through all the different aspects of the car, even the layup of the carbon fiber monocoque, new type of carbon fiber materials which just came out, even more titanium fasteners, thinning the glass, putting Lexan glass in the roof area. It just goes on and on. Titanium exhaust parts, making the internals of the engine lighter and stronger. And of course, apart from making it lighter, we have increased the aerodynamic capability drastically and made it into active aerodynamics. So it's just all in all a very, very different experience and performance level.
With so many manufacturers turning to some kind of hybrid technology to get more performance, we asked if the 121 was the limit of what could be achieved from an internal combustion only engine.
It's getting close to that, yeah. But there's always new technology, new evolutions, new simulations you can try out and increase portion step by step. It's possible, but it's very high level for sure.
Now 1,000 horsepower per tonne is a staggering figure, and it's twice as much as you'd expect from a Veyron or a high-end Ariel Atom. We asked Christian how those insane figures affect the experience of driving the 121.
Well, it makes the car much more nimble than it would otherwise be, and it's easy to just focus on the power numbers, and when we develop the car, we spend more time on optimizing aerodynamics, handling, steering input, excitement, enjoyment than getting maximum power out. It's about creating a balanced package that's exciting to drive. And I think what people would be mostly surprised when they drive a 121 is how easily accessible the performance is, and how not really overpowered the car feels. It feels like, wow, there's a tremendous amount of power, but the chassis is even stronger and stiffer, and the brakes are even more stable than the power compared to the power level, yeah, pretty much.
With the Ruggiero, which was unveiled earlier this year, Koenigsegg has firmly moved into the hybrid market. We asked if the 121 was the end of the line for Koenigsegg's internal combustion only cars.
Well, we have the Agera RS now in production, and that is also relying only on the combustion engine, but for sure, as batteries become lighter and electric motors and inverters become also more efficient and smaller, there is a greater opportunity to utilize those technologies to enhance the experience of a sports car. So it's going more and more towards that direction, I would say.
The Ruggiero's drivetrain is something we've never seen before, and we asked Christian exactly how it differs from other hybrid hypercars.
It's unique in the sense that it has no gearbox or transmission, and still we can drive the engine directly from, or the wheels directly from the engine. That is completely unique and never been done before in the history of cars. And what that means is we can save a lot of weight, and we also reduce the transmission losses when you're, for example, traveling on a highway. However, to make it work, we really needed the next generation of battery technology and the absolute most extreme electrical motors, so we didn't bog down the car with too much weight or take up too much space. But it's a very exciting system because you have that direct response of electric drive, and you have that energy density of our very compact combustion engines. So it's a very unique prospect that gives very high excitement when driving because the power is so easily accessible, and a new comfort level as there is an absolutely super smooth drivetrain.
With all of the familiar names in supercar manufacturing lining up to develop new hybrid technologies, we asked Christian if he felt it was a flash in the pan or whether this trend was here to stay.
I'm sure it will continue because batteries will become smaller and lighter and therefore more viable. electric motors are already quite good, but they will also become smaller, lighter, and more efficient, and also the inverters that are in between. And done in a clever way where you can actually remove other things. So in the case of removing the gearbox is only changing the ratio of the engine. That's all it does. While if we add batteries and electric motors instead, so we can have that torque fill that we need when we don't have the gearbox, but we also add power and torque and controllability and response. So when you can replace something with something better with no weight penalty, I for sure see a future in it, and those technologies will just keep on getting better, and the integrations will just keep on getting better as well. So I don't see an end to that right now. Well, for sure, when you can spread out the powertrain in a more even way, or wherever you want to put it for a design, aerodynamic or ergonomic reason, it will change the way a car can look like. But I wouldn't see that as something negative. It just gives more freedom to the engineers and designers to create even more exciting machines.
In only 21 years, Koenigsegg has come from nowhere to be one of the highest regarded hypercar manufacturers, being counted alongside Ferrari, Lamborghini and McLaren. How have they pulled that off?
Well, we had to work hard, be a little bit innovative, and don't believe in the hype that it's impossible. But it's you know, every day we strive and push and learn and adapt. And when you do that for 20 years with a great focus within the group, you can do pretty much anything. I think that's the simple answer. But for sure, it's not easy. You have to be prepared to work hard for it.
Koenigsegg are fully independent and manufacture their cars entirely in-house. We asked if this independence is a benefit to them.
I do. For example, with the Regera, I don't see any of the other established super hypercar brands daring to remove shifting of gears. It's such a fundamental thing to take away from a sports car that I think it's only Koenigsegg that could make that decision. And I'm very confident about the decision. I'm very confident when people experience that direct power, that instant control you get and directness, that they will quickly understand why that's a very good alternative to shifting, even though shifting is fun, nice, and part of driving a sports car. So for example, yeah, we have more freedoms like that, or take more freedoms like that. I think it's one of our strengths. I mean, there are strengths of being a big car corporation with all the resources you have at hand, but there are also strengths for a small founder-driven sports car company that we have to utilize to compensate for the lack of size.
With so many achievements in such a short amount of time, what have been the highlights?
Well, there are a few, but I remember when we managed to beat the unbeatable speed record of the McLaren F1. That was something, yeah, astonishing at the time for us and for many other people. But also, I think the one-to-one program really exceeded our expectations of what the car felt like and what it's capable of. I mean, we didn't really dream of 2Gs cornering without. I mean, we're not talking peaks. You can actually reach 2Gs constant in a corner on road tires. That is just beyond almost belief. So the one-to-one is really something special as well. And the Regera I'm very, very excited about. But at the same time, when we did the first production car, the CC8S, I mean, there was a constant high just getting to that point after 8 years as well. So there are so many occasions which have been fantastic throughout the years, really.
Finally, we asked Christian what the plans are for the future.
Well, we have a lot of interesting work and technologies in the pipeline, and I'm very excited by that. And it's moving, forwards and upwards, growing the company a little bit. We're right now in one way the fortunate position of having a good order book, but it means also that customers have to wait a long time. So we're trying to speed up the production. So yeah, it's about growing the company, making it a little bit bigger, and maybe have one or two more models in the lineup at the same time. So
the one-to-one might go down in history as the high watermark in performance for what an internal combustion engine can deliver in a road-legal car, but that will not be the last record Christian will claim. Not by a long shot.